بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. طبعا بنتكلم اليوم عن العقود في إدارة المشاريع، وهنتناقش مع الجوجل AI ستوديو عن أنواع العقود هاي وعن المخاطرة وين موجودة على البائع والمشتري. بدنا ننتبه على المصطلحين البائع والمشتري. مين البائع ومين المشتري في العقود؟ هنتكلم معاكم بعد شوي بالتفصيل الممل. فأول شيء، العقد القابل للتعويض هو نوع من العقود التي يقوم فيها المشتري بتعويض البائع عن التكاليف الفعلية التي يتكبدها أثناء المشروع، بالإضافة إلى رسوم أو حوافز متفق عليها. ويستخدم هذا النوع من العقود عندما يكون نطاق المشروع أو سكوب غير محدد بدقة، ولا يمكن تقدير التكاليف مسبقا بدقة. أنواع العقود القابلة للتعويض هي: 1. عقد التكلفة زائد أتعاب ثابتة CPFF، يعني يتم تعويض التكاليف الفعلية زائد رسوم ثابتة بغض النظر عن الأداء. عقد التكلفة زائد أتعاب تحفيزية CPIF، تعويض التكاليف زائد مكافأة بناء على الأداء، مثل توفير التكاليف. يعني بحكوا إذا وفرت مبلغ معين نعطيك مكافأة معينة. إذا وفرت لك 1,000,000 دينار، لا 1,000,000 ريال، نعطيك مكافأة 100,000. 3. عقد التكلفة زائد أتعاب تحفيزية مستعدة للتقييم، يعني بيسووا له تقييم للأداء تبعه، إذا كان جيد بناء على هذا بيعطوه أتعاب تحفيزية. باختصار، تعويض التكاليف زائد رسوم إضافية تعتمد على تقييم الأداء. عندنا العقود ذات السعر الثابت Fixed Price Contracts، يعني عقد السعر الثابت هو اتفاق يحدد سعرا ثابتا لتسليم منتج أو خدمة بغض النظر عن التكاليف الفعلية. يستخدم هذا النوع من العقود في المشاريع ذات النطاق المحدد بوضوح، يعني يكون السكوب معروف. لذلك أنسب شيء إلى العقود التنبؤية أو الووترفول. أنواع العقود ذات السعر الثابت: 1. سعر ثابت Fixed Fair Price FFP، سعر ثابت مع رسوم تحفيزية CPIF، سعر ثابت مع تعديل اقتصادي FPEPA، يعني يستخدم في العقود طويلة الأجل لمراعاة التضخم أو تقلبات السوق. عقود الوقت والمواد Time and Material، أو مختصر T&M. عقد الوقت والمواد هو نوع من العقود حيث يدفع المشتري للبائع بناء على ساعات العمل الفعلية والمواد المستخدمة. يستخدم هذا في المشاريع ذات النطاق غير المحدد بوضوح أو القابل للتغيير. أنواع العقود في المشاريع الرشيقة الأجايل: أول شيء، هيكلة العقود متعددة المستويات. 2. التركيز على القيمة المقدمة. العقود ذات السعر الثابت للمراحل الصغيرة. عقود الوقت والمواد مع حد أقصى. عقود الوقت والمواد المتدرجة أو توزيع المخاطر المالية. خيار الإلغاء المبكر، التركيز على القيمة بدلا من النطاق. خيار النطاق الديناميكي مع ميزانية ثابتة. تعزيز الفرق Team Augmentation، التركيز على التعاون لتمكين نطاق مرن. لكن قبل ما نبدأ، رجاء الضغط على زر لايك، إعجاب، وسبسكرايب، اشتراك، تفعيل زر الجرس النوتيفيكيشن حتى يوصلك آخر فيديوهاتنا. No, just explain each type for me.
Okay, I can explain it. The slide is about cost-reimbursable contracts, which are used for projects with expected and significant scope changes. There are 3 types listed. The first one is cost plus fixed fee, where the seller is reimbursed for all allowable costs, plus a fixed fee payment. The second one is cost plus incentive fee, where the seller is reimbursed for all allowable costs plus an incentive fee. And the third one is cost plus award fee, where the seller is reimbursed for all legitimate costs, and the fee is based on the buyer's assessment of the seller's performance. Do you have any other questions about it?
What's the difference between the first and the second one?
Sure. The main difference between the first and second contract types, cost plus fixed fee and cost plus incentive fee, is how the fee is determined. In the first type, the fee is fixed at the beginning of the project, based on a percentage of the initial estimated project costs, and it does not change unless the project scope changes. But with the second contract type, the fee is not fixed, and it's an incentive fee, which is predetermined and based on achieving project-specific performance objectives.
How about the third one? And how does it differ?
Okay, for the third one, cost plus award fee, the seller is reimbursed for all legitimate costs like the others. However, the fee is mostly based on satisfying subjective performance criteria, which is defined and incorporated into the contract. It is also important to note that the fee is based on the buyer's assessment of the seller's performance, and it's not subject to appeals. Does that clarify the differences between the 3 contract types?
Who bears the risk in each type?
Okay, you're asking who bears the risk in each contract type. Let's go through them one by one. In the cost plus fixed fee contract, most of the risk is on the buyer, since the seller will be reimbursed for all legitimate costs and will receive a fixed fee. In the cost plus incentive fee contract, the risk is shared between the buyer and the seller, as both can gain or lose depending on final cost compared to the estimated cost. Lastly, in the cost plus award fee contract, the buyer carries most of the risk since the fee depends on subjective criteria and the seller's performance. Does this make sense?
Explain these contract types for me.
Certainly. Let me explain these contract types for you. The slide is about fixed price contracts, which set a fixed total price for a defined product, service, or result. There are 3 subtypes listed here. The first one is firm fixed price, FFP, where the price is set at the beginning and won't change unless there are changes to the scope of the project. Then there's the fixed price incentive fee, FPIF, contract, which allows for deviations in performance, where financial incentives are tied to achieving metrics like cost or schedule. It also sets a price ceiling. Finally, there's fixed price with economic price adjustments, FPEPA, which allows for price adjustments based on things like inflation or changes in cost of certain commodities. Do you have any further questions about them?
Explain the fixed price incentive fee for me in more details.
Okay, let's delve into the fixed price incentive fee contract in more detail. This type of contract sets a target price, but it also allows for deviations from the performance goals that are agreed upon. These deviations are then linked to financial incentives. These incentives could be tied to hitting milestones such as a lower cost, staying on schedule, or achieving other measures of project success. Also, the contract will specify a price ceiling, meaning that the seller will not get paid any extra for any cost overruns exceeding the ceiling. Is there anything more specific you would like to know about the fixed price incentive fee contract?
Yeah, please speak in English. Yeah.
Certainly, let's talk about the fixed price contracts shown on the screen. There are 3 types here.
Summarize them for me.
Okay, I can summarize the fixed price contract types for you. Fixed price contracts, as a whole, establish a total price for a specific product, service, or result. There are 3 subtypes listed here. Firm fixed price contracts, or FMAT-FP, which means the price is set at the beginning and it won't change unless the project scope changes. Fixed price incentive fee, or FPIF, which provides flexibility through financial incentives tied to agreed upon metrics. And finally, fixed price with economic price adjustments, or FPEPA, which allows for predefined adjustments to the contract price for specific commodities. Do you have any questions about these types of fixed price contracts?
Yeah, tell me who bears the risk in each type.
Okay, I can explain who bears the risk in each of these fixed price contract types. In a firm fixed price contract, the seller assumes the most risk. as they're responsible for delivering the project within the set price regardless of cost fluctuations. In a fixed price incentive fee contract, both the buyer and seller share the risk. If the seller meets or exceeds the agreed metrics, they earn a financial incentive, but if they don't, they could face reduced payment or penalties. Finally, in a fixed price with economic price adjustment contract, the risk is also shared between buyer and seller, as predefined final adjustments to the price are allowed for specific commodities. Does that clarify who bears the risk for each contract type?
Tell me about time and materials contracts.
Okay, let's talk about time and materials contracts. These contracts are also called time and means contracts, and they combine aspects of cost-reimbursable and fixed-price contracts. They are typically used when a precise scope or statement of work is unavailable, and often for augmenting staff, acquiring experts, or gaining external support. Is there anything more you'd like to know about this?
What's the meaning of augmenting staff?
Augmenting staff means to add to or enhance the existing staff. In the context of time and materials contracts, it typically refers to temporarily increasing the number of personnel working on a project to meet specific needs or address gaps in resources. Would you like to know more about augmenting staff?
No, just tell me on the risk. Who bears most of the risk? Buyer or the seller?
Okay. In time and materials contracts, the buyer typically bears most of the risk. This is because the final cost is not fixed and can be influenced by factors such as the amount of time spent and the cost of materials used. Does this clarify things for you?
Summarize agile contract types for me.
Sure, here's a summary of the Agile contract types. They include multi-tiered structures emphasizing value delivered, fixed price increments not to exceed time and materials, graduated time and materials, early cancellation options, dynamic scope options, and team augmentation. Do you want me to go into more detail about any of those types?
Yeah, tell me about gradual time and material, more details.
Okay, let's talk more about graduated time and materials. This type of contract connects quality and timely delivery of work to a financial reward, such as a bonus for early delivery or a penalty for late delivery. It is also called DOD, or degree of delivery.
Degree of delivery معناها. Not definition of done.
Degree of delivery. Vergery is the level or extent to which a project or product meets its delivery goals. It is used to measure and evaluate the success of a project based on how well the deliverables are met.
Degree of delivery. Okay. How about multi-tiered structure? Give me more in-depth details.
Certainly, a multi-tiered structure contract is designed to capture both fixed and variable items. It creates a master service agreement to capture fixed items like warranties and arbitration. Then it lists variable items in a schedule of services like service rates and product descriptions, and uses a statement of work to itemize dynamic items like scope, schedule, and budget.
What does list variable items in schedule of service? What does this mean? Give me more details.
Okay, list variable items in a schedule of services means that the contract will include a detailed list of the different services that can be provided. This list will include the price or rate for each service, as well as descriptions of each service. Does that clarify it for you?
Do you have an example?
Sure, an example of a variable item in a schedule of services could be an hourly rate for software development, with a description of the specific type of developer, such as a front-end or back-end developer.
About the emphasis on value delivered.
How about emphasize value delivered? Would you like more information on that?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, emphasize value delivered means that the contract is structured to focus on the value that is being delivered at each milestone. It also focuses on the value of feedback in product development. Do you have any questions about this?
Tell me about risks. Who bears the risk, the buyer or the seller, in each type?
Okay, let's discuss risk in each type of Agile contract. In fixed price increments, the customer has more control over how the money is spent, limiting the supplier's financial risk. In not to exceed time and materials, the customer limits the budget to a fixed amount, limiting their risk. In graduated time and materials, the risk is shared based on the financial incentives. Early cancellation options also reduce the customer's risk, while dynamic scope options help to manage the supplier's risk. Team augmentation shifts more risk to the customer. Is there anything you'd like to dive deeper into?
No. Tell me who bears the risk, the buyer or the seller. Don't use customer and whatever you use.
Okay, let me clarify who bears the risk in each type, using buyer and seller instead. In fixed price increments, the seller bears more of the risk as they are agreeing to a set price for a specific deliverable. However, the buyer has more control over how the money is spent. In not to exceed time and materials, the buyer limits their risk by fixing the maximum budget, but the seller takes on some risk by needing to be efficient in delivering within the budget. In graduated time and materials, the risk is shared between buyer and seller and tied to the financial rewards. Early cancellation options benefit the buyer by reducing risk, and dynamic scope options help the seller to manage their risk. Finally, in team augmentation, the buyer assumes most of the risk. Is that more clear?
How about multi-tiered and emphasize value delivered? You did not cover them.
Okay, let's revisit multi-tiered structure and emphasize value delivered regarding risk. In multi-tiered contracts, risk is shared because the buyer has fixed items covered, while the seller has more freedom with variable items. For contracts that emphasize value delivered, risk is shared because the payments are tied to milestone value, encouraging good performance. Is this more helpful?